All right, everybody. So if you watched any of my previous videos, we've been going hard on the group growth and the monetization strategies. So we've talked about building your group, some of the powers of actually having a group of your own. And the next question that's probably been asked internally is like, what the hell do I put in my group? What type of content do I create? So that's exactly what we're going to be riffing on today. Like, what type of stuff do you actually put into a community if you want to use this as a main hub or a main piece in your business that you actually want to sell products from, right? The reality is most of us building online businesses or in the online entrepreneurship space want to make some sales, and communities have hands down been the biggest element as far as like actually consistently converting sales in our groups. And just to add some proof of concept, we've been averaging over $1,000 a day for probably 600 plus days in a row at this point, and the majority of our content is created inside of our groups. So I'm actually going to open up my computer. I'm going to run you guys through my actual group that I run on a daily basis, and this will work whether you're running free groups, paid groups, stuff like that. But we're going to be running through like my free group today, which at the time of making this video has around 5,000 people in it. I've probably hit 5,000 members in it, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, always ending up removing people that aren't active in the community. But we're going to just give you guys a real-time breakdown of some of the type of content that I'm putting in there and what it's meant to do, and actually why I'm doing that and how it's actually converting into clients. So we got my group here, and I think first things first is the thing that makes content creation the most stressful for a lot of people is the fact that there's no rules. So it's also cool, but I think the paradox of that is it can become stressful because content isn't one size fits all. I could tell you to go create this type of content that performs really well for me. That does not mean it's going to perform for you. You might be a mom or a wife or a woman. So my messaging isn't exactly going to work for you because we're different people. We're different types of people. We have different lives. So just know that before we kind of riff on the content. So as a whole, a good way to look at your group and your content as a overall thing would be utilizing your group as a digital journal. And I know that sounds counterintuitive if you're like, hey, I'm trying to sell products to people and I don't want to talk about what's going on in my life. But the reality is like the number one thing that you need to consistently sell people products is you need relationships. You need to build relationships with people. And that's what your content's meant to do. At least that's the way I look at the content creation game, is it's meant to enhance or accelerate the time that it takes to build relationships with people at scale. And the power of utilizing it in your content is you can build relationships with more than one person at a time. I can write this piece of content which talks about how we've paid out over $300,000 in the last 20 months to our badass ambassadors. It's building proof of concept in the fact that, hey, we're not paying people. That's good English, but it talks about what we stand behind, who we are. We wanted to create something that was everything but a digital circle jerk. Buy our thing and learn how to sell our thing. If you guys don't know me or you haven't seen me very much, that's like the premise of what we do. Like, we're here to help people build and monetize businesses however the hell they want. It doesn't matter whether they're selling our products or not. We didn't want to create if we wanted to just do a carbon copy clone version of affiliate marketing, we would just be like everybody else, and we didn't want to do that. The power of talking about who you are, what you do, is that it builds relationships, but it's a really inspiring journey for people to come along over the span of you building your own business. So it's a really cool thing to think about. If you look at where you're at in your life and your business right now, if you zoom out in the next 12 months, if you made it a point to talk about everything that you do for the next 12 months, like things you're trying, things you're failing at, things you're actively doing, it becomes a really cool journey for people to come along and be a part of. And the cool part of that is people literally just going to come across and come along this journey with you. And by you showing up and shedding light on everything that you're doing, becomes a really inspiring process for them to be on with you. There's some people in this group that have been with me since I started the group, since I first started with running a social media marketing agency and blogging and all this stuff. So they've watched me literally transform everything about my life because I've made it a point to just talk about all of that in my actual content. And then obviously you're going to want to mix in specific offer posts. This is an offer that we put out for one person. We were looking to work closely with somebody and help them like build out their infrastructure in their business and help them create an offer that could potentially take it to 6 figures and beyond. The same offer strategy that we've used to sell over $1 million in products, same one we've handed to clients who've done over $1 million in sales in the last 20 months. So these can't be the only types of content that you produce. And I want to bring that up because I know that's a big thing, especially folks that are new to the online space, is they feel like the more that they talk about their offer, the more that they talk about, hey, I have this thing you can buy. Hey, I have this thing that you can potentially sign up for. It can start to repel people. So a good way to look at everybody in your group or your audience as a whole is like a bucket of water. And every time you're publicly asking them to purchase from you, you can start depleting a little bit of that water from the bucket. So you need to have a delicate balance of providing some form of value, sharing your lifestyle, while mixing in offers. A good rule of thumb as far as like a market would be like a 1 to 4 ask ratio, where for every 3 pieces of content that I'm producing, or every 4 pieces of content that I'm producing, one of them is going to be actually about potentially working with me or buying something from me. And a lot of the other stuff just needs to be talking about, you know, who I am, what I do, like why I started this online business. This is talking about a bit about my journey. You know, have you ever felt like you're doing everything you're supposed to, but the results aren't flowing? I'm taking them back to 2019. I'm telling them about why I first started my online business, and I was getting on Zoom calls with everybody, and I was packing my calendar full of calls, and then it hit me like a ton of bricks that I was basically just building a business that kept me married to it. I was trying to leave my job, but I was working all of my off hours and having my mom babysit my daughter so I can get on fucking Zoom calls with people, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, why am I building this business like this if it's just trading one evil for another? And obviously the intention behind me talking about this is we've processed over 2,300 payments with less than a dozen calls total, with products ranging from $17 all the way to $1,000 a month. So I want to reinforce proof of concept in the strategy that we teach, that we do, that we talk about. So I'm just talking about, this is what my calendar looks like on a weekly basis. Like, that's the entire week. Got maybe a few calls throughout the entire week with coaching clients, but it's not a high volume, high acquisition heavy model. And then you'll get other people interacting in your community talking about things, which is the entire premise of building a group. You want to create that culture. You want to create that actual vibe that people enjoy being in versus just you. This is a good real-time example of pre-selling strategies. So I'm talking about a Cash Curriculums Commintiy. We just launched this brand new low ticket subscription. So instead of me talking about, hey, I have this brand new group and I want you to buy it, I'm creating some type of FOMO. Community's not even a couple months old and engagement's been going wild. So I'm literally just shedding light on, hey, we launched this brand new group and there's 535 comments on this post already. And we posted it not even a couple months ago. That's absolutely crazy. That's a lot of engagement. So I'm just talking about things that are actively going on in my business, talking about things that are going on in my day-to-day life. These are really cool ones. Community engagement. These aren't meant to sell products. These are just meant to connect with your community, boost the algorithms, get more engagement, like connect with people on a little bit of a deeper level. Then, hey, I have this thing that I want you to buy. So it has nothing to do with business. If you were banned from the local library, what would the reason be? I'm just talking about something silly, a silly question. These will get a lot of engagement and they're not meant to sell, right? As I mentioned, they're just meant to connect, because the way Facebook groups end up working or communities work is if they comment on this post, the chances of them seeing my next piece of content increases because they're interacting in the group. That's the way social media works. So if you're interacting on stuff, they're going to show you more of it. This is another example of a little bit of an offer post. Simple content strategy that's produced as much as 76K in a 30-day span. Who wants it? We dropped a simple content strategy that's helped us crack consistent multi-5-figure months for years inside of our brand new group. If you want to get this exact framework in your hands, give me a hashtag content below and I'll hook you up. This is 3 lines. And some of these folks, they bought access to the group. When you nail the content, the sales process doesn't really have to be that hard. The more content that people consume from you, the easier and the shorter the sales will actually become, because by the time you end up talking to somebody, they already feel like they know you. So if you're not creating content in your group yet, just get into a cadence of creating anything in the group is going to be better than posting nothing. And a big thing that a lot of people think or feel like is they can't, like, hey, I don't have any members in my group, I can't post content in there. And we usually push our clients to do the opposite. It's actually easier to grow your group the more that you're producing inside of it, because if you go put out this post, for example, this is like from Caitlin, who did 10K profit after joining Group Juice. Let's say I write this piece of content in my group, I can then go talk about this outside of my group. Hey, I just dropped a post inside of my group breaking down how Caitlin just did $10,000 profit. Who wants to check it out? And I can loop them back into this group where I talked about this strategy right here. So it's actually the paradox where the more that you're putting in your group, the easier it is to grow your group, because then you can just go out and you can start talking about this on external platforms. Like I mentioned in my previous video, like, groups don't grow by themselves, so you have to create external awareness around the community. Now, obviously, once you have a few hundred members in here, you can really just work on nurturing and building relationships with the community and converting the clients in the group. Now, we will talk a little bit about like your guide, section in your community, because these can be a really powerful aspect to growing a group. And not only growing a group, but making your sales processes a lot easier, is getting some types of assets or live trainings or resources in place in your group would get people up to speed with potentially buying one of your products. So this is a good real-time example of this. Is we have a welcome post, which like lets everybody know about who I am, what I stand for, like the types of stuff that I'm going to be putting in the group. But then I'm also looping them back to 5 or 6 different trainings. So that way when somebody comes into my group, I'm creating leverage. So if somebody comes into my group and they send me a message, they're like, hey, I don't really know what you do, I can send them this training. Or hey, I've been stuck trying to build out all these funnels. Or I can send them to this training or this training. The ultimate goal is to help people get up to speed and punch them in the face with as much value as I can, because it ends up making them making a decision as far as like buying a product from me a lot easier, because they're coming in and they're getting, acclimated to who I am, what I do, how I do things I've had success with, things our clients have had success with. I'm giving them strategy and concepts, so that way it's not like they're coming into my group and I'm trying to convert them when they have no idea what I do. So let's say you have a product, you need to like look at a little bit of a deeper level. Is like you have a product that is about weight loss or keto. You're going to want to look at that actual product and ask yourself what a potential person needs to know or understand before they feel confident purchasing that product, because they won't make a decision if they don't have those things in place. They're probably going to want to know, okay, what types of recipes is this? Am I going to have to work out? Has this worked for you? Has this worked for anybody else? You're going to want to answer all of those questions. And a good way to look at this too is like if you're seeing questions being repeated either in your market or people are coming into your group and they're asking the same questions over and over again, those are the types of things that I would want to cover in my group, in my guide section, in maybe like a live video or a pre-recorded video like this, because it's going to allow you to start stepping away from your business, but also still provide value at the same time. So it creates leverage so your business continues to work for you, even if you're not actively in the business every single day. All in all, when it comes to what types of content you guys should be putting inside of your group, everything. And I know that's a very cliche answer to give you. I would look at utilizing your group as your own digital journal and really start documenting your own process that you're doing in your life and your business, and then utilizing the content that you're producing inside of there to go out and talk about your community externally, because it becomes a really powerful flywheel effect that will grow your group very seamlessly. We're regularly posting in our communities about 3 to 5 times a week with a mixture of lifestyle value content, hand raiser content to generate leads, as well as offers. So cycling through different rotations as far as like what you're actually putting in your group. But if you're just starting your community, I would really go heavy on sharing you, who you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and just treating it as your digital journal. Because when you zoom out in 12 months, the people that come into your group right now and they watch you transform everything about your life, it becomes a really inspiring journey for them to come along with, and it makes selling them products extremely easy. If you guys have any other questions, don't hesitate to drop them in the comments. Share this video to somebody who wants to potentially grow a group, or they're trying to learn how to create content inside of their group, and we'll see you in the next one.